Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about contraception and acne. We're going to talk about why do things like combined oral contraceptives help to manage acne, which ones work best, and we'll also touch on other forms of contraception and their effect on acne as well. For those who are new to the channel, I'm Dr. John Barbieri. I'm a board-certified dermatologist and acne expert. First, I want to delve into why combined oral contraceptives can be helpful for acne. When we think about acne, it's fundamentally about hormones. This is why acne starts in puberty. As androgens rise, they turn on the oil gland. That leads to proliferation of those cells that can clog up pores and lead to too much oil and bacterial overgrowth and all of the manifestations of acne. Combined oral contraceptives can thus help in acne in two ways. First, they suppress ovulation, which decreases the production of ovarian androgens like testosterone. It also increases sex hormone binding globulin, which is like a sponge that can help to soak up those androgens. And together, these two effects decrease the amount of circulating androgens in the blood. Those are less activating factors that are going to turn on that sebaceous gland in the skin, and thus there's going to be less acne. Now that we've talked about how combined oral contraceptives work, let's move into how well they work. There are actually several combined oral contraceptives that are approved by the Food and Drug Administration specifically for acne, having undergone large randomized controlled trials demonstrating their effectiveness for the management of acne. In addition, we have a little bit of some rough comparative effectiveness research that we can rely on as well. There are some studies where they look at the trials for treatments like oral antibiotics for acne and compare them to the trials for combined oral contraceptives. And what we can see in this study is that those who took combined oral contraceptives had less improvement in acne at 3 months compared to oral antibiotics, but at 6 months, the rates of improvement were relatively equivocal. And we often think of oral antibiotics as a relatively effective treatment for moderate to severe acne. And this research would suggest that combined oral contraceptives, at least in the long run, may be on par with that. And especially for many adult women with acne, that acne can be quite persistent. We need to find long term approaches to control acne. And it may be a much better option than being on antibiotics for long periods of time since they're not a disease modifying treatment. Although we often try to limit our use of oral antibiotics, they're not going to change the course of acne. So if your acne is still there 3 months later and you don't have some other medication that's managing it, you're still going to need that oral antibiotic. So combined oral contraceptives can be a very valuable addition to our overall systemic treatment modalities for acne, in addition to things like oral antibiotics and spironolactone. Now, before we talk about which contraceptives are best for acne, if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel and give this video a like so we can share it with more in the community. Your support really means a lot to me. When it comes to choosing a combined oral contraceptive for acne, we want to think about the two components of them. All combined oral contraceptives, they have an estrogen aspect to them and a progestin. These work together to cause their effects. The estrogen aspects of them are generally helpful from an acne standpoint, but progestin sometimes can be androgenic, and in that way they can contribute to acne in the same way we were talking about ovarian androgens, or they can be anti-androgenic, and that way they can actually be slightly helpful when it comes to acne. So let's start by thinking about the different progestins that can be in combined oral contraceptives. The most androgenic ones are norgestrel and levonorgestrel. So when we're thinking about picking a combined oral contraceptive, if one of our goals is to help manage acne, we might not want to pick ones that contain these progestins. Norethindrone is also relatively androgenic, so it may not be the best option for those with acne. In contrast, norgestimate or desogestrel, these are relatively less androgenic, and these may be good options for those with acne. These would be in things like orthocycline, orthotricycline, Apri would be some examples of brands that use these progestins. And then finally, we have anti-androgenic progestins. These are like drospirenone, which is in Yaz and Yasmin and Nikki, or Dienogest, which is in contraceptives like Valad and Chiara. And these might be some of the best options if we're just trying to pick something solely for the purpose of managing acne. There's also the estrogen component, and in general, higher estrogen combined oral contraceptives seem to work a little bit better for acne than lower estrogen ones. This doesn't have, I think, as big an effect as the progestin side of things, but it can matter. So, for instance, Yasmin is 30 micrograms of estrogens, and Yaz is only 20. So Yasmin may be slightly better for acne than Yaz, all else equal. There can be all sorts of reasons one might want to pick different contraceptives, but if we're just thinking about which is going to work best for acne, ones that have a more anti-androgenic progestin, like drospirenone, ones that have higher levels of estrogen are more likely going to be helpful than ones that have more androgenic progestins like levonorgestrel or have more lower levels of estrogens. Now, what about side effects with combined oral contraceptives? Some of the most common side effects can be things like nausea, bloating, or breast tenderness. These often occur in the first weeks to a month or two of use and usually will resolve by 3 months of use in most people. Breakthrough bleeding is also relatively common and can, in some studies, affect up to 50% of people who are taking combined oral contraceptives. Again, this tends to be limited and usually resolves within the first few months of use. So, for those who are having these side effects, continuing the combined oral contraceptive until at least 2 or 3 months, often these will resolve. Other side effects that are important to think about are the risk of blood clots. Combined oral contraceptives have a twofold increased risk of blood clots compared to just reproductive age women. However, another way to think about this is what's the absolute risk? So, if we think about just what is the risk of getting a blood clot in an average reproductive age individual, it's about 3 per 10,000. And so then combined oral contraceptive, it doubles that, becomes 6 per 10,000. So that means you would have to treat several thousand people with a combined oral contraceptive for one of them to develop a blood clot. So what we call the attributable risk, the actual absolute risk, is incredibly low. So there's a detectable effect, there's an increased risk of blood clots, but the likelihood of it actually happening is extremely low on an absolute level because blood clots are relatively uncommon in this population. And just to put things into context further, pregnancy has a risk of blood clots about 30 per 10,000. So we were talking about combined oral contraceptives, 6 per 10,000. Pregnancy is about 5 times more than that. Another side effect that commonly comes up in discussions about combined oral contraceptives is risk of cancer. There's some conflicting literature on whether combined oral contraceptives may be associated with breast cancer. There may be a slight increased risk of that. However, there's clear evidence that combined oral contraceptives are associated with decreased risk of a variety of other cancers, including ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, and colon cancer. And on net, combined oral contraceptives are associated with a decreased risk of cancer. So, with those risks in mind, who might not be an ideal candidate for a combined oral contraceptive? Well, those who have a history of blood clots or first degree relatives, so mother, father, brother, sister, who has a history of blood clots, that may not be an ideal person for a combined oral contraceptive since they can increase the risk of blood clots. Those who have migraine with aura can be at increased risk of cardiovascular events like stroke, so they're also not an ideal candidate for combined oral contraceptives. Those with hypertension, it's important to use them cautiously because combined oral contraceptives can raise blood pressure. Those who have a history of cardiovascular or liver disease may also not be ideal candidates for combined oral contraceptives, or those who are over 35 and smokers. And then finally, those who have a history of breast cancer may also not be an ideal candidate for combined oral contraceptives for some of those risks that we talked about earlier with respect to breast cancer. Moving on to how to start a combined oral contraceptive, if pregnancy is reasonably excluded, one can just begin it. That would be called the quick start method. And that's often a very nice way to do it. Then we don't have to wait. We can really get started right away, especially if we're trying to use it for acne. We want to start it as soon as we can to get those benefits as soon as we can. Another approach is called the Sunday start method, and this is where you would start the combined oral contraceptive the first Sunday after a menstrual cycle, and this again helps to exclude pregnancy before starting it. Moving beyond combined oral contraceptives, how do other forms of contraception influence acne? Well, one common concern that comes up is whether things like an IUD are contributing to acne. And one thing to keep in mind here is that many people who are starting an IUD may have previously been on a combined oral contraceptive. And stopping that combined oral contraceptive, we're going to lose that beneficial effect on acne. So it may not be the intrauterine device that's contributing to acne. It may actually instead be the loss of the benefit from that combined oral contraceptive. And when we've tried to look into this, looking at new users of different types of contraception modalities, it doesn't appear that intrauterine devices, whether they're hormonal or copper, have much effect on acne. Combined oral contraceptives, very helpful. Intrauterine devices seem to be relatively neutral. Now, if we are going to use a hormonal intrauterine device, ones with lower levels of levonorgestrel, which we did mention before, is relatively androgenic, are probably going to be better. So that's going to be like Skyla or Kylena are probably going to be better than Mirena or Liletta, all else equal when it comes to picking a hormonal intrauterine device from the standpoint of acne. In terms of other forms of contraception, we also have hormonal implants. And these also tend to use relatively androgenic progestins, and these have systemic distribution of them. They're not a local effect like with hormonal IUDs, they're working throughout our whole bodies. And so these can be associated with increased rates of acne. And when we're thinking about contraception, obviously these can be an awesome option for contraception, but if one of our goals is trying to minimize acne, they may not be the most ideal choice. Similarly, like Depo-Provera kinds of shots are also going to be relatively detrimental when it comes to acne. We also have some progestin only oral combined pills. Historically, these have probably been relatively acne causing because of the progestins in them, but now we have newer ones that use drospirenone, which are probably neutral to slightly helpful for acne, though we don't have a lot of data yet on their effects on acne. So, in summary, combined oral contraceptives can be a great way to manage acne. They're relatively safe medications, they're relatively easy to use, they're very easy to access affordably, and they may have effectiveness on par with oral antibiotics when it comes to the management of acne. In addition, they can be a great team with other hormonal therapies like spironolactone. If we think about the relative ways that they work, combined oral contraceptives mostly work by suppressing ovulation, preventing the production of androgens, and then by also increasing sex hormone binding globulin to decrease the amount of circulating free androgens. Spironolactone blocks the action of androgens at the sebaceous gland. So they can be a really nice team in terms of their mechanisms, and they're also a really nice team in terms of their side effects. We talked about how combined oral contraceptives can raise blood pressure. Well, spironolactone tends to lower it. We talked about how combined oral contraceptives can increase the risk of blood clots. There seems to be some evidence that spironolactone may actually lower the risk of blood clots a little bit. And if we think about one of the main side effects of spironolactone, it's having breakthrough bleeding, irregular menstrual periods, and combined oral contraceptives can help to regulate the cycle, can help to manage that. So they're a really tremendous team when it comes to managing acne. They have a nice balanced profile in terms of how they work, and they also help to balance out each other's side effects a little bit. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and give it a like so we can share it with the community. Your support really means a lot to me. Ask me your questions about contraception and hormonal therapy for acne in the comments below. And until next time, see ya.